attention.
Are you here for Kevin or for
No, have some water. Drink. Be nice. Nice. Something nice. Nice. Okay, that's good. Just gonna get him some water.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so very much for coming out today for this very special announcement. I'm very pleased to be here with members of the community, including St. John's Ambulance, the CNIB, and our very own K-9 unit right here in York Region. In particular, I would like to thank Superintendent Karen Noakes from York Regional Police, along with Constable Kevin Murray and Storm, who are here from the York Regional Police K-9 unit, and to join us for this special announcement. I thank you all for standing with me today as we honor the memory of the many specially trained service animals in Ontario and across our great country. So many have been injured or killed in the line of duty over the years. I would also like to thank Brian Patterson, past chair of St. John's Ambulance York Region Branch and president and CEO of the Ontario Safety League, for being here, along with Debbie Reynolds, a professional certified dog trainer, along with her therapy dog China, used in the St. John's program. I'm also here with Owen Parker and his guide dog Falcon, along with Ada Johnstone and her guide dog Fairview, representing the CNIB. Just last month, legislation known as Quanto's Law, the Justice for Animals in Service Act, came into force. This law recognizes the important role these animals play in Canadian society and makes it abundantly clear that killing or injuring them is unacceptable and will be met with the penalties it deserves. Quanto's Law was named after a 5-year-old German Shepherd named Quanto, who served in the Edmonton Police Service. He was stabbed to death 2 years ago while he and his handler, Constable Matthew Williamson, were trying to apprehend a man in a car with stolen plates. Quanto's story resonated with Canadians across our country. His death was a loss not only for his handler, but also for the police force and police forces across the country and the citizens that they serve. During his career, Quanto had been involved in more than 100 arrests, working alongside his handler and friend, who had raised him from a pup and was considered a member of his family. Over the years, according to York Regional Police's annual report for 2014, the K-9 unit has been responsible for more than 1,600 arrests and for locating 100 people, a remarkable example of service to the public by any measure. To say the least, these animals and the dedicated officers who work with them have earned our thanks, our gratitude, and our respect. Quanto's Law may have been named in honor of a police service dog, but it recognizes the important risks that all law enforcement animals face daily as they help police keep our communities safe. This includes animals like the beautiful Toronto police horse Brigadier, who had to be put down in 2006 after being deliberately struck and seriously injured by a van whose driver had refused to pull over. denounce and deter such incidents in the future by imposing serious penalties on people who willfully harm a law enforcement animal. Moreover, the law is not just about protecting animals involved in law enforcement. It is for all service animals that have been trained and are being used to help Canadians by applying their special gifts to a wide range of situations, as guide dogs, for instance, or those that help us to find lost persons or assist Canada Border Services officers in preventing the importation of illicit drugs to Canada. They all deserve to be respected, just as they serve and protect us. With this legislation, the Government of Canada has created a new criminal code offense that specifically prohibits the willful injuring or killing of animals that are trained and are being used to aid law enforcement officers, persons with special needs, or members of the Canadian Armed Forces. The maximum penalty for this offense is 5 years imprisonment, and anyone convicted of willfully killing a law enforcement animal while it is aiding a law enforcement officer must now serve a mandatory minimum sentence of 6 months to a maximum of 5 years in prison when the offense is prosecuted by indictment. As well, if a law enforcement officer is assaulted or a law enforcement animal is injured or killed while on duty, the sentences must now be served consecutively to any other sentence imposed on the offender arising out of the same event. Quanto's law fulfills a commitment the government made in the 2013 speech from the throne to enact legislation in honor of the daily risks taken by police officers and their service animals. Service animals spend years in training to become experts in special fields, and this law protects all of them. For example, guide dogs help people who have disabilities to be more mobile and independent so they can play a more active role in our communities. Dog and partner teams with Canada Border Service Agency are trained to detect drugs, firearms, and undeclared currency, food and plants at our borders. And service dogs help Correctional Services Canada officers in keeping drugs and weapons out of prisons. Veterans Affairs Canada recognizes the benefits of service animals. The department has committed up to $500,000 in research and treatment benefits to study how service dogs can be used to assist veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. These amazing dogs are trained to be steady, calm, and compassionate, to help veterans with PTSD get through the darkest moments and begin to heal. Every day, ladies and gentlemen, all of these animals are put in harm's way, whether they are enforcing the law or helping people lead more fulfilling, independent lives. We can be proud that this legislation is now enforced to recognize the unique and invaluable role that service animals play and to honor the memory of those who have died in the line of duty. With this legislation, our government is sending a strong message that people who try to harm these animals will face serious consequences. Thank you very much once again for joining us here today. It's designed to deter and denounce any harm coming to these service animals, whether it's a law enforcement animal or a service animal out in the community. It creates a new criminal offense in the Criminal Code of Canada that calls for up to a maximum of 5 years imprisonment, and where there is a law enforcement officer involved in the altercation, that sentence will be served consecutively to any other sentence that the criminal is imposed on the criminal in a court of law.
Although I'm not a a canine handler, the dogs are trained to undertake criminal investigations. We do like to be careful with the dogs because they are trained to be working dogs that are required to be ready for any type of situation out there. So they certainly can be friendly around people, but we do have to be careful about the environment that we do have. And in this particular case, Constable Murray will let you know if you can approach PSD Storm or not.
So under normal condition, people should stay away from those police dogs, or?
Yes, and thank you. That's a great question. If you do come across an officer and a police service dog, you should speak to the officer first to see if you can approach that dog or not. And I would recommend that in any case with anybody who has a dog.
Thank you.
I'm Debbie Reynolds, and this is my therapy dog, China. We've been in the program since about 2000, not China, but myself, and she's been in the program for the last several years. We visit different facilities, seniors places, schools. We have a reading program as well. China is a crisis dog, so we work with the services department of the Region Police.
So what kind of patients or what kind of normal dog house?
So the dog needs to be pretty quiet and able to keep under control. They need to like to be touched and petted and to cuddle.
It's often a big part now of the ability to deal with victims of crime, particularly domestic crime and related issues with young children, where the therapy dog allows the victim to be in a more comfortable environment when they're being interviewed, a more comfortable environment when they're giving evidence in court. So over the next little while there's going to be a significant change or a number of opportunities in which therapy dogs have either assisted the victim at the time of the incident or assisted them through the court process in York Region. So it's a direct partnership with the York Region Police and the Attorney General's office in Ontario.
And any dog be trained with therapy dog or?
Not necessarily. They need to meet certain requirements. They need to be well socialized with both people and other dogs and children, and they need to be able to pass an evaluation.
What size?
Pardon? Size? Oh, size doesn't matter. No, no.
Could be a big dog, right?
Yes, can be big dog, little dog. Yes, anywhere in between. And it doesn't have to be any particular breed. It can be any breed.
So you have any dog?
Yes, of course, I'm a dog lover. I'm an animal lover. I do have a pet. I've had a pet for the last 34 years, ever since I've been married. We currently have a mini doodle. His name is Fletcher, an incredible animal, very smart, part of the family. Of course, he's not a service animal, but he does, have a service within our own family. The legislation today, Quanto's Law, that we are so proud to announce, has received the royal assent and is now law in Canada, adds a new criminal offense in the Criminal Code of Canada that seeks to deter and denounce those that would want to cause harm to service animals that are assisting law enforcement officers and agencies across our country, assisting those that have special needs, assisting those that have that are suffering with post-traumatic stress disorder. So many applications. So we're very delighted that this legislation will seek to penalize those that would want to harm these important animals that are playing such an important role in our community.
They're trained in general purpose, which means they're basically their bread and butter is tracking, which means when somebody leaves on foot from a crime scene, that we give them a command to track, and then they follow that scent to the end, and hopefully we can contain the area and get the bad guy to go to ground. Mm-hmm. And by going to ground I mean hide somewhere, and then the dog will get there and find them. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the goal. That's mainly what we do with them. But they're good for finding missing people too. I found a missing kids with them in a bush area. Bad guys hiding in buildings from break-and-enters that we get there and they can't get out in time, so they try to hide, and then we send a dog in. The dog will find them. It's all based on human scent, right? Here, buddy. Here. Here.
So how long have you been working with your pets?
I've been handling him for 7 years now, so my tenure is actually up. So he'll be retiring shortly, and he'll be my pet. So I'll be moving on to do something different.
Did he get hurt before?
Did he get hurt?
Yeah.
He's broken a paw, and he had an incident with one of these balls here that he's chewing on. You can see there, once he loses the ball, he wants to get back. Look at it, bud. Come on. Here, heel. So yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty healthy over his career. He just had that one incident with his paw, so not too bad.
Tell us how you feel about your pet. Your feeling.
Well, you know, he's been my partner now for 7 years, so he's been good to me, and you know, I enjoyed working with him. He's caught a lot of bad guys, and you know, I'm gonna hopefully he enjoys his retirement and he's healthy for a couple of years before he gets too old.
What's the lifespan?
Lifespan is usually somewhere between 7 to 10 years on average for a police dog, just because of the work they do. So he's 8 now, so but he's still in pretty good health. So I'm pretty happy with him. Hopefully.
So when he gets retired, he'll get a medal, or?
You know what? No, I'm not sure what they'll do when he retires. Sometimes they have a little thing for them, a little ceremony or whatever, and but you know, it's the handler's responsibility after they retire, because he'll become my pet, right?
Retire, they go to normal home, or?
Yeah, he lives with me all the time now anyway.
Yeah.
So I take him home with me. He lives.
Okay, so you take him after retirement. Right?
Yeah, so he'll basically we take ownership of the dog, and the force signs him over to us type thing, and then we're responsible for him after that. So we cover everything off after that. So
okay, that's lifetime friendship, right?
Yeah, for sure. He's good with my kids and stuff, and they treat him like a pet at home, and you know, it's at that point now where he knows the difference between when he's working and when he's at home, for sure. So he's a different dog at home. He chills out and plays with the kids and stuff like that, and then when he's at work, he's like this. He doesn't stop.
Your name and the dog's name, so.
Ada Johnstone, and my dog is Fairview.
What kind of dog was the breed?
He's a yellow lab.
So how long you have?
I've had him now for close to 8.5 years.
Okay. So how he helps you?
I'm visually impaired, so he is a guide dog for the blind, and he helps me with my mobility. So he'll guide me, he'll stop at curbs, he finds stairs, any obstacle that's in the way when I'm walking that I won't see, he'll stop and go around it. So he helps me in so many ways.
So will he make mistakes?
Pardon?
Will he make mistakes, or is it just do everything all right? So for you?
Oh yes, I'm healthy.
Yeah. No, I mean,
is that what you're asking me?
My question is, will he make any mistakes, or like going across the road, or just follow the traffic lights?
No, they can't tell when the light is green or when it's safe to go.
Yeah.
It's up to me to give the command for him to move forward, and I tell that by listening to the flow of the traffic as it's going. So I'll cross with the traffic, and if he comes across an instance where a car pulls out in front of us or it's not safe to go, he will disobey the command by stopping or pulling me back out of the way.
So you're getting the dog from CNIB, is that right?
My dog came from School Guide Dogs for the Blind based in California, and they have a campus in Oregon, so I went to Oregon. There is several guide dog schools here in Canada.
So what's the process? For example, somebody needs a guide dog, and then how he get the dog, and what's the process?
The first step, I would say, would be to contact their local CNIB. The orientation and mobility instructors with CNIB are trained. They have all the information about the different guide dog schools, so it's a personal choice, so they can advise you, and you would make the decision where you wanted to go to obtain your dog. And also, in order to obtain a guide dog, you have to have good mobility skills. So you would first learn how to travel with a white cane, and once you were competent in that, then you were eligible to get a guide dog.
What about the cost?
There's no cost for the individual applying for the dog. Most of the guide dog schools are run by private donations or corporate donations, and
she was on the board.
so it helps us tremendously.
So for the users, at no cost.
There's no cost to the individual getting the dog.
What about waiting time?
There usually is a little bit of a waiting time. I applied in November to get my dog, and I was at the guide dog school by the following March. So there may be a 3 to 4 month wait. It depends on the availability of dogs as well.
So the dog gets trained and also the owner too.
That's right. The dog is already trained with guide dog skills. And then when I went to the guide dog school, I had to be trained to handle the dog. So they had to give me training as well, and it took a month. So I had a full month of training.
It's not a difficult course, right?
It is consistency. You have to be very consistent. There was a lot of hard work for training.
I got my first guide dog back in 2007, and this is my second guide dog. I would never do without one now. It gives me the confidence to go anywhere I want and being safe.
I see.
So it's made a big difference in my life. Being able to travel anywhere.
So you really like it and now you depend on it, Sonia?
Yes, I mean, when you think about it, he's my guide dog. He's a part of me. He's my eyes. So I trust everything that he does.